Welcome everybody. We are so grateful to be here with incredible state and local leaders, including Representative Dave Linsky, Jamie Erickson, the Natick Town Administrator, Louise Miller, the Wayland Town Administrator. We have staff from the Senate President's Office, Senator Spilka, and so many more other elected and town officials, and Emily Norton from the Charles River Watershed. And we are here at the historic South Natick Dam to celebrate the enactment of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, a new law that makes unprecedented investments in our water infrastructure and ensures that everyone has access to safe, clean drinking water. And this should be no question in Massachusetts, let alone in our country. Yet 10 million American households and 400,000 schools and child care centers lack safe drinking water. And right here in Natick, and also in our neighboring community of Wayland, neighbors have faced the reality of PFAS contamination. This is simply unacceptable. And that's why I'm proud to join with President Biden and my colleagues in Congress to have passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This historic law provides $55 billion in federal funding to ensure clean, safe drinking water is a right in all communities. This is the largest investment in clean drinking water and wastewater infrastructure in American history, and will ensure that everyone in this country has access to clean drinking water everywhere, at school, at home, at a child care center, and in our tribal nations. Massachusetts is poised to receive $12.5 billion through this law, with just over $1 billion dedicated to improving water infrastructure. The bill also includes $10 billion dedicated to eliminating and detecting PFAS chemicals from water across America. $23 million will be distributed this year and will be targeted towards underserved and disadvantaged communities. This is more than just the taste and appearance of the water you drink. We know that lead can cause irreversible and lifelong health problems, including decreasing focus and academic achievement. For our children and young people, lead exposure can derail their entire academic trajectory and their life. Access to drinkable water is a health issue and a racial and environmental justice issue. Lead poisoning is higher among Black Americans than whites and is higher in inner cities and among low-income families. As our nation works to build back better and ensure that every American has a chance at success, ensuring that everyone has access to clean, lead-free water is non-negotiable. This work being done here by the Charles River Watershed and local leaders will turn this federal funding into improved, modernized, and strengthened water infrastructure. I want to thank all of you for your leadership and quick action to ensure that our residents have clean water. Your leadership on this issue has been key to getting this federal funding across the line and will be pivotal in enacting this vision of this law into real action here in our communities. So today with this law, we are sending a message that Congress is your partner in this effort. And to our families here in Natick, Wayland, and all over Massachusetts, our message is as clear as your water will be. We are delivering results and a better, healthier future for everyone. So thank you again for being here, and I'm very happy to turn this over to Emily Norton from the Watershed WCA.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Clark, for your leadership and the leadership of the Biden administration for passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which includes $10 billion to help states test for and then treat PFAS in our drinking water and in wastewater discharges to our water bodies, such as rivers. PFAS are a group of fluorinated organic chemicals widely used in consumer products and firefighting foams because of their ability to repel water and oil. Teflon, stain-resistant fabrics, even tooth floss contain these toxic chemicals. They are called forever chemicals because they do not break down. PFAS have been linked to cancers, thyroid disease, reproductive disorders, and many other health problems. DuPont and 3M knew about the toxicity of these products in animals and humans starting in the 1960s, but kept it hidden, even from their own staff who were giving birth to babies with birth defects. At this time, there are no federal regulations regarding PFAS. Here in Massachusetts, Mass DEP just started requiring public water systems to test for 6 of the most common forms of PFAS, and Mass DEP set a limit of 20 parts per trillion. Any system with more than that must notify users and work to reduce those levels as soon as possible. In the Charles River watershed, Natick and Wayland have elevated levels of PFAS, and they will both benefit from this federal funding so that they can be treating their drinking water and protecting the health of their residents. In terms of surface waters, such as our rivers and streams, they have also been found to have PFAS contamination. Last year, DEP and the U.S. Geological Survey sampled 27 rivers across Massachusetts. They all had PFAS in them. 15 of the 27 rivers, including the Charles River behind me, had greater than 50 parts per trillion, when the limit just set by Mass DEP, as I said, is 20 parts per trillion. Note, CRWA and many other health and environmental organizations do believe that the limit should be no more than 1 part per trillion. Clean water is a basic necessity of life. Too many of our communities cannot be assured that their water is free of toxic chemicals that can harm them. This funding from the bipartisan infrastructure bill will allow states, cities, and towns to make the necessary investments to remove these toxic chemicals from our drinking water and wastewater, and that will also help clean up our rivers and streams. Meanwhile, we need to be moving as quickly as possible to remove these chemicals from products we use so that they are no longer able to poison us. Thanks.
Thank you to Congresswoman Clark and the federal delegation, as well as the Biden administration, for all their support for this PFAS issue that we have to deal with here in Natick. As noted earlier, Natick is acutely familiar with the PFAS issue. Just over a year ago is when we found our first elevated levels of PFAS above the level set by Mass DEP. We have since then studied and already are investing about $3 million in a water treatment facility system, just as phase 1 of a multi-phase program to help address our public water supply issue with PFAS. The long-term program will be tens of millions of dollars more, and we are very excited for the opportunity to utilize federal funding to help support that PFAS issue that we have here in town in our public water supply. It is really important for us to ensure that our public water bodies and our public water supply system is safe for our most vulnerable population, as well as really all people in the town and the communities that we serve. As a public official, I take that very to heart to ensure that we're providing all of our services in the safest way possible, and water is certainly one of the most important and critical pieces of infrastructure that we must provide to our community. So thank you again to the Congresswoman and all the hard work that she has put into this, and the Biden administration for all the hard work that they have put into this, as well as our local delegation here in the state for being leaders in Massachusetts to addressing the PFAS issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congresswoman Clark, and to the Biden administration. My name is Paul Joseph. I represent the Natick Select Board. Very briefly, I can't really add much to the technical explanation that Mr. Erickson just gave on behalf of the town, but not lost on me is that we're standing in front of the sacred river to the native peoples from which Natick was founded. And we talk about an equity issue when it comes to infrastructure. We talk about the need to address these things. Government is in service of the people, and we've had a reckoning of many sorts over the last year, reckoning with the environment and commercial activity that's gone unchecked, advancing technologies that allow us to measure to finer levels and really understand the impacts of human activity and commercial activity on our well-being has really come to the fore. So this money will go a long way in closing those gaps that we've created and hopefully creating a better future for all of us. So on behalf of the citizens, we're grateful for the support of the investment, and it really goes a long way to augment what we've already started. So thank you.
Good afternoon, Tom Fay, Chair of the Board of Selectmen for the Town of Wayland. Like others, I'd like to thank the leadership of Congresswoman Clark regarding these federal monies. They will help the Town of Wayland offset the costs regarding these new regulations, and they'll also help us provide safe drinking water for many years in the future, and we appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Representative David Linsky from Natick. This is an example of the federal government, the state government, and local government all being able to work together to be able to solve some very significant problems and improve the quality of life for the people of Massachusetts and the country, quite frankly. The people had talked about passing infrastructure bills for, it seems like 10 or 15 or 20 years, and we weren't able to do it. So I absolutely applaud President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, Congresswoman Clark, and the rest of the Congress who voted to pass this incredibly important legislation. Infrastructure Week went into Infrastructure Year, Infrastructure Decade, but we got it done, and the people of Massachusetts and the people of the country are going to be the beneficiaries of this. These are extremely important problems. They cost a lot of money, and I really want to thank President Biden, Congresswoman Clark, and Speaker Pelosi for being able to pull this off. Thank you.